Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back again with another video. Today, I just wanted to share some thoughts of how I felt about the Arsenal season so far. Now that the season's pretty much almost over and done with 2 games left to go in the Premier League. Newcastle and Southampton away, Newcastle being our final home fixture on Sunday. With that being said, folks, first off, I think the elephant in the room is the Champions League exit in the semifinals against the PSG team, and credit to Luis Enrique over 2 legs, both of the entire team performed excellently against us. I mean, in the first leg, you can say Dembele went quiet after the goal in the 4th minute, but mistakes after mistakes from us are defending. And I do have to say that some senior players have not showed up and have not been around, pretty much checked out on holiday early on in the league. I'm not naming a specific player right now, but I do want to say the naivety, and he knows better, the likes of Thomas Partey. In the quarterfinals, in the second leg, he got another yellow card, which added to his list, and it doesn't reset until the semifinals. He knew better, and right before the end of the game against Real Madrid, Rudiger was trying to rattle him. It was getting very frustrating that Rudiger was getting away with so many challenges and fouls that should have been a yellow card. But Partey gets frustrated, and in the end, he gets a yellow card. He's unable to play in the first leg at home against Paris Saint-Germain. And first of all, not only did we lose the battle on the pitch against PSG over 2 legs, but we definitely got smoked away by the Tifo. I understand the club refused the Tifo of the Ashburton Army, but some clarification needs to be given to this point. They didn't necessarily refuse the Tifo in the beginning. Ashburton Army posted a tweet saying that Arsenal rejected the Tifo, which is not entirely true. They told them, we will work with you to make a better design, but eventually, because of all the abuse and the stick that the club got from the Ashburton Army tweet, they ended up saying, we're going to do our own Tifo. But man, the ones from Ashburton Army looked a lot better than the Tifos that were present at the Emirates Stadium, because that looked like a 400 megapixel Twitter display picture, which is very blurry, something you take off of MSN.com or Internet Explorer images. Shambolic for a Tifo. I mean, if you're coming out with that, it was like you had 20 minutes and the teacher said, go on Microsoft Paint and complete your homework, because that's the kind of Tifo we submitted. Embarrassing, pathetic. And PSG fans, we know the PSG Ultras, loud and proud. We played them again previously one time in the group stage with the new group stage format this season in the Champions League. And, even at that time we played PSG, they were not at their best strengths. We played a informed PSG, but with that being said, for Arsenal to make it all the way through to the semis, one step better than last season. But I will have to say, the Thomas Partey getting suspended in the first leg of the semi-finals, and then in the second leg costing us both goals. It almost felt like the only thing that Arteta relied on was that the long-range throws and the long-range through balls from Thomas Partey to provide. Odegaard against Anfield, you saw Odegaard really try against Anfield in the Premier League. At that point, we are already out of the Champions League, a semi-final exit in the Champions League. And we really struggle to retain possession against PSG. We were constantly losing possession. We were constantly getting outplayed by them in the second leg, and it was a very upsetting defeat over 2 legs. I really thought the second leg, if we score early, we can bring the game back to equal on aggregate, and it's still half time, but we got hammered by Hakimi, and even Kvaratskhelia had a chance on target. We really struggled to retain possession, and need I say, our finishing in the final third's not good at all. We really struggle in the final third, and that goes back to the summer window previously and the January window. I understand there wasn't necessarily all the targets we wanted in January. In January, when you're asking for big name players, we saw Kvaratskhelia leave Napoli to go to Paris Saint-Germain. We saw the Watkins deal available, but it wasn't necessarily the best bang for your buck for that age of a player, even though I know Trossard and Sterling and Jorginho are older. It's a shame, the Champions League exit, I'll say, but it is, if you're looking at the overall picture, it's one step further from last season, which was the quarterfinals against Bayern Munich over 2 legs. I guess it's time for Arsenal to take a step back, take your foot off the gas. I didn't even know if we had our foot on the gas to begin with in some of those games we played, especially in the Premier League. A lot of draws we had. It's 6 red cards, for our players this season. And, could there be a disciplinary issue with some of these players? Or we can't really blame the officiating in the entire league. But there is clear indication that some of the decisions made for us in the Prem have been shocking, but that's no excuse to our performances this season. Some of the draws we've had, some of the winnable games like Old Trafford away, we struggled. Everton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, we beat this season, but when it matters, Arsenal, we don't know what Arsenal team is going to turn up, and that's the issue in itself. This summer, Andrea Berta, we'll see what he brings to the table and what he has to offer. I do know already that Arteta and Berta don't seem to be aligning in terms of the same player profiles they're looking for. Arteta wants someone like Benjamin Sesko. Berta has indicated he prefers a player profile like Victor Gyökeres. Victor Gyökeres, we'll see what happens with so many clubs are interested in both Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyökeres. We also know that Newcastle are currently in the top 5, which means they'll likely get Champions League football and retain Isaac. So for me, that pretty much says Isaac's off the cards. I don't see that happening for us, unfortunately, and for any other team in the Premier League that were after him. We'll see what happens this summer window. It's not just the striker position we need to get right. We also need to get an adequate cover for Bukayo Saka and that right wing position. Reiss Nelson previously filled, but Reiss Nelson is currently still on loan at Fulham, and we have a lot of loanees that, for me, pretty much contracts are going to be cut loose, and we will end up terminating some contracts or trying to get these players new teams to go to. Reiss Nelson, he's been a great servant for the club, as has Jorginho, who's going to Fluminense. I believe it's Fluminense or Flamengo. I think it's Flamengo, but Jorginho, he's been a great loyal servant to the club. He's been a good leader. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors, as well as Kieran Tierney, who's going to Celtic, his boyhood club. We wish him all the best. At the time that Arteta first started, he was a really good left back. It's a shame injuries got the best of him. But I know at Celtic he'll dominate and he'll continue to do well. Maybe that league is better suited for him. I hope he continues to play football so he can get into their national team for Scotland again. And I know that's what he wants, continued minutes. I wish all the best to Reiss Nelson as well. Nuno Tavares and Lokonga, we'll see what happens with them. And we also got rid of Aaron Ramsdale, who has been relegated for the 3rd time. It's possible that Chelsea could go after him, as Chelsea are in desperate need of a keeper. And Arsenal looking at Joan Garcia, who we previously wanted 2 windows, but his release clause was relatively high. With that being said, folks, the content you'll expect to see on my channel, pretty much we will most likely cover the Newcastle game this Sunday. I believe Josh is going to the game, True Gooner. And then we'll do the Champions League final. We'll also do end of season review for Arsenal. We will do an Arsenal award show, even though, as I said, it's not really anything to be so proud of, but there's certain games you can pick out and you can say definitely we showed resilience and we showed true fight against Real Madrid. Nobody really predicted us to bash Real Madrid like that over 2 legs, with the team that we have, with the injuries we have. And you just have to put things into context sometimes, oftentimes. And, we go again next season, we reset, and we see where we go from. But that's all, folks, I wanted to address with you all. I just wanted to give an update. We'll see what happens this summer window with other clubs, but more importantly, we need to get our transfer decisions right and get our business done early. Thanks all for tuning in. Do make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Please check out my other videos. There will be a notification here for my other most recent videos. I did recently reach 10,300 subscribers. I'm on the road to 10,500 subscribers. So I want to thank each and every one of you for your time. You could be watching these Arsenal games anywhere in the world, any place in the world, but instead you choose to watch it with me and you choose to listen to my commentary, however silly it may be. I really appreciate all of you for tuning in. Much love and respects. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day.